is Ben Coriet, and I'm glad that all of you could join us today for this informative workshop. And Mr. Waters, our graduate librarian, if you have any words of welcome, anything you want to say, I will hand it over to you at this time.
No, I'd just like to say welcome everyone to another wonderful workshop. I hope that you get a lot of information out of it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Waters. And again, thank you to those who have just joined. We have three people from Sage who have joined us today. Ms. Lee, Paige, and Emily. So glad to have the three of you with us and going to be sharing with us about this wonderful tool because, you know, as graduate students, it's so important for us to really be able to have the tools in our toolkit to be able to, you know, execute our research plans as efficiently and as expeditiously as possible. So at this time, I'm going to hand it over to Emily, who is going to lead us through a introduction exercise. So Emily.
Thank you so much, Ben. And thank you, Mr. Waters, for coordinating this session and for inviting us to be here today. We are all really looking forward to sharing more information with you about two resources, one of which you do have access to at Howard and one of which you are trialing currently, the library is trialing. So looking forward to sharing more information. And again, like I said, I'm really looking forward to meeting each of you. I'd love to start with just brief introductions. It's nice for us to get a sense of who everyone is. We can start on the Sage side, and then Ben, maybe I'll turn it back over to you, and then we can kind of go through everyone on the Howard side. But my name is Emily Smith. I am a senior engagement librarian with Sage. So I am a librarian. I've worked in libraries prior to joining Sage about 4.5 years ago. I'm based in the Chicago area. I do work with institutions across the Midwest and the Southeast and the East Coast. And in my role, what I do is a lot of support for librarians, as well as for faculty, for graduate assistants, for graduate students, really just making sure that you understand the resources that you have access to through your library, and that you understand how you can use them to support you in your own research, in finding, using, and evaluating data, which is a lot of what we're going to be talking about today. So I'm a resource available to you anytime. I work very closely with Mr. Waters, so just really happy to be here today and be able to share more information with you. And I will go ahead and let Lee introduce himself next.
Before we sorry to interject there.
That's okay.
Before we move on to the other Sage representatives, Emily, if you could temporarily stop sharing your screen just so we can see everyone in one user experience and have a little bit more intimate space. Thank you very much.
Great idea.
Lee,
sorry.
No problem. Lee, go right ahead.
I like this much better because otherwise I'm hitting that arrow key and trying to see who I can see. But thank you for having us today. My name is Lee Sutherlin, and I am a partner with Emily. I'm a senior faculty engagement partner here at Sage. And Emily and I partner together and work with institutions. Emily primarily with librarians, me primarily with faculty, but we do overlap in supporting both librarians and faculty on a given campus. I actually was just recently on Howard's campus 2 weeks ago and did a similar session to this for three undergraduate classes over in the business school. So I work closely with our authors on a given campus and with our journal editors on a given campus in supporting our resources that we have available to you. So thank you again for having us, and I'll pass it on to Paige.
Thanks, Lee, and great timing as I just finished sneezing. So hi, everyone. My name is Paige DeLoach. I am a library sales partner here at Sage. So my role, I really work very closely with your collection development team at the library, your subject liaisons at the library, like Mr. Waters, who focuses on the graduate students, really to just understand what the needs are, what the research needs are, teaching and learning what's happening on campus, and how Sage's resources might be able to support that work. So I'm really excited for today's session. I'm from Maryland originally. My cousin's at Howard right now, so it means a lot to be able to, work with Howard in a professional capacity here with Sage. And I'm excited to get to know all of you as well. So I'll turn it back to Emily.
Thank you, Paige. Thank you, Lee. So Ben, does it sound okay to maybe kind of just go around the room and do short introductions?
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, ladies, for introducing yourselves. Well, first off, I want to say I'm very excited to see two of my former classmates on the call today. Buki and Kalima had the pleasure of taking a class with them last spring in the CCMS department. They are both, I'll do a little brief intro for them as well. They are both PhD students in the CCMS department, 4th year, I believe, for both of them. So good to see you ladies on the call. For myself, I am also a 4th year PhD student, but I'm in the computer science department. I'm originally from Orlando, Florida, and I currently serve as the chairperson and the disability liaison officer for the graduate library committee. So glad to be here. I'll pass it over to Buki.
Good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. I'm Buki, a 4th year doctoral student in the Communication, Culture, and Media Studies department here at Howard. I'm on the health communication track. I'm currently dissertating at the moment. So I believe that this meeting will be a fruitful one and very insightful for me. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for being here.
How about Kalima? Why don't you go next?
Hi, everyone. So nice to see you again, Ben, former classmate and friend. I wanted to say hi to Buki and also Dr. Soon, one of our amazing professors in CCMS. But yes, my name is Kalima Meggs. I am a 4th year PhD student in the Department of Communication, Culture, and Media Studies. I am currently on the Media and Culture track, but I specifically focus on sports communication. I am also dissertating like Miss Babalola. So I'm super excited to be here and gain some additional knowledge. Thank you.
Thank you, Kalima. Speaking of Dr. Soon, could you give us a brief introduction?
Hi, everyone. Hello, Buki and Kalima. I'm Wei Sun, faculty from School Communication, Department of Communication, Culture, and Media Studies. I just seems AI is the future. I want to know more, so can make my teaching and research more meaningful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Soon. I'll hand it over to Adeline Yuan.
Hi, my name's Adeline, and I'm 1st year PhD economics students, and my research field is more environmental and health economics, and I'm here for learning more. Yeah, and thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming, Adeline. I'll pass it over to Lee Nguyen. She may be putting something in the chat. How about Frida Charity? Are you available to introduce yourself? All right, maybe not. Hand it over to Josephine. Josephine, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I am a 1st year PhD student studying civil and environmental engineering, still in the coursework aspect of my program, but it deals with pipe fouling using AI. So this workshop was recommended by my supervisor.
Awesome. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. Ambachu, can you introduce yourself for us, please?
Hi, everyone. I'm Ambacho, 1st year PhD student in African Studies. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Majumder, can you introduce yourself? right, I'll pass it over to Kayla. Kayla, can you introduce yourself?
My name is Kayla Moore. I'm a first or second year.
Uh-oh, she may be having some connection issues. For now,
Can you hear me?
no, not so well, not so well. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it's my connection in the lens today. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. If you could just maybe put it in
I
the
can put my
chat.
response in the chat.
Yeah, perfect, perfect. Thank you so much. And last but not least, we have Mr. Kevin Hayes, who is a new member of the Graduate Library Committee as well. So Kevin, could you introduce yourself briefly?
Can y'all hear me? Okay, awesome. New headphones. My name is Kevin Hayes. I'm a fourth year PhD student in African Studies. And yeah, I am part of the Graduate Library Committee, new member.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. And with that, I think everyone is covered. Those who didn't have a chance to speak, feel free to introduce yourself in the chat. We would definitely love to get to know you. All right. Emily, I'm gonna hand it back to you.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you all so much for the introductions. I really appreciate it. It's just really nice for us to meet you all. We greatly appreciate your time and greatly appreciate you being here. I mean, we really hope that this is going to be helpful for you. I do want to say, if there are any questions as we go today, please feel free to use the chat. Lee and Paige will both be monitoring that and are happy to answer questions there. But we'll also be sure to share our email addresses with you at the end. And if you have any questions after this, as you are exploring these resources, please get in touch with us anytime. We are more than happy to help. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. And we're actually going to start today at your library's website. I've actually gone straight to your library's database listing because this is where you can go to get access to the resources that we're going to talk about today. So I think Paige is going to put the link to this in the chat. So if anyone does want to follow along today, or again, if you just want to, sort of watch this and listen today and then get into these resources after this, you can use this page, these links to get right into the resources that we're going to talk about today. So with that, you'll see them here. Sorry, we're going to start today in SAGE data. That's first one on the list, and then we're going to move over into SAGE research methods. So just to give you a sense of what you already have access to. You have access to some of the content in SAGE Research Methods. Howard University Libraries has already acquired some of the content in that platform, but they are currently trialing the entire platform. So all of the content in that resource is currently available to you through October 11th. You're also currently trialing all of SAGE data. So the resource SAGE data that we're going to look at today is currently in trial at the library. So these are resources that you all have access to through October 11th. As you're looking at these resources, as you're working with them and exploring them, please feel free to share your feedback with Mr. Waters. Let him know what you think of these resources. If there are things that you think would be really useful or helpful to you in your own research, that's really helpful information for him to know. So please feel free to share that with him anytime. So we're going to start today in SAGE data, which is one of those resources that you are trialing. So this is available to you through October 11th. You have access to this database through the library. And just to give you a little bit of sense about what this resource is a resource that provides access to billions of data sets. So it's really a platform that's going to save you a lot of time and effort in your search for data for your research. So what it does is it consolidates over 550 US and international databases into this one central uniform platform. So all of the data that we ingest from these sources goes through a really rigorous evaluation process. So it's all very trustworthy data that you're finding, and it's continuously updated. So depending on when the source updates the data, we update automatically in SAGE data as well. So there is data updated on a daily basis, data on a weekly basis, a monthly basis, an annual basis, and so on. So every time you come into this resource, there is more data than there was the last time you reviewed. So before we do get into talking about how to find data and use data in this resource, I do want to point out one section of the database, which is the data basics section. This is a great place to go if you are kind of just beginning to explore data and work with data, and you might have some questions about how to do things like explore and find statistics, how to evaluate data sets and data sources, and then how to interpret and use statistics. So these are short articles. You'll see each of these topics expands. You can click into any of these articles and read more. They're short, they're easy to get through, but they might provide you with some helpful information. Again, if you are new to working with data, or if you're working with students who may be new to working with data. So they're a nice place to begin. This one, for example, I need data, where do I start? This is a nice short article that talks about some different things to consider when you're looking for data. It also includes a short video here that you can watch or share. So again, just some helpful information for when you are getting started. All right, we're back at the homepage. You'll see there are a couple of ways, a few options for getting into data. So you can always search for data. I am going to show an example of a search in just a few minutes. So if you know what type of data you're looking for, or you're curious to see if there is data available for your research topic, you can always search the database to see if it's available. But you'll also see a lot of ways to browse for data. So if you're not really sure what type of data might be available in your subject area, or you're just kind of curious and want to see what's out there, what kind of data can I find? The browse options are going to be really great ways for you to do that. So scrolling down a little bit on the homepage, you'll see a few different ways to browse data. The first is by subject area. So there are 16 different subject areas available. You'll see this is a very multidisciplinary resource. It covers a lot of different subjects, a wide range of topics. So a lot of ways you can explore through the subject area browse. You'll also see you can browse by source. So if you know of an organization that you would like to get data from, or you want to see if they, the data available from them, you can always go right to the source and see the data available from them. So you'll see it's alphabetically listed. You can search this or scroll down through the sources. And then you'll also see a geography browse option. So this will let you see what type of data is available for a particular location. So you have the map feature here. You can hover over any of these countries to get more information about how many data sets are available from that location. Then you can click in to get right to data from that country. But you can also search and get to data more granularly at a more specific level. You can search for data by zip code, by state, by county, by city, by province, and so on. So you can always search to see what kind of data is available for a particular location. You'll also see some featured data sets over here on the right. So again, if you're just kind of exploring and wanting to see what's available, these are data sets that are really interesting to start with. These are data sets we know are really frequently accessed and are really common for researchers to explore. So these change on a regular basis. Our editorial team updates these occasionally. So good places to start if you're just browsing. But we're going to go ahead and we are going to get into a data set. We're going to look at a data set from our health and vital statistics subject area. So just to give you a sense, when you click into a browse, you're going to come to this page. We're still not in any data. We still need to select a data set. So over here on the left-hand side, this is our data set panel. This is where you can browse all of the data sets that are available, in this case, in this particular subject area. We can also always switch to one of those other browse options here. But just to give you a sense of the kinds of data you'll see in the health and vital statistic area, we have data from the American Community Survey from the US Census Bureau. We have international health data from Australian and Canadian Census Bureaus. We have a lot of coronavirus statistics, data on health expenditures and health insurance, disease surveillance data, vaccination data, leading causes of death, progress on Millennium Development Goals related to health from the United Nations, and so on. So there's a lot of different types of data to explore here. We also have data, great health data from the CDC. We have the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System, as well as the Youth Risk Surveillance System. We're going to go ahead and look at the Behavioral Risk Factor Surveillance System today. This is a great one. A lot of different data from the CDC on health-related issues related to cancer screenings, awareness of health risk factors, alcohol consumption, smoking, healthcare access and coverage, and so on. So we're actually going to go into the healthcare access and coverage. And you'll see that once I click into a data set, what happens is I have now access to what we call our indicator panel here at the top, as well as our visualization and all of our options down below. So this panel up here is where I make changes and selections to see of my visualization down below. So you see right now, I'm in what we call a trend chart. So we have a few different chart type options. This one defaults to a trend chart. We also have map charts, a pie chart, and then a rank chart. And you'll see my visualization, because I'm in a trend chart, what that means is I'm seeing change over time. So I'm seeing a trend, in this case, in overall healthcare costs. The question asked was there a time in the past 12 months when you needed to see a doctor but could not because of cost? I can see the change from 2013 until 2020 in that answer from the CDC. So I'm going to make a few changes. I want to look at this a little bit differently. I'm going to go ahead and look at some state-based data. So I click that button. I'm going to compare a few states here. So you'll see with just a few clicks, I can get all of this new information. And I'm going to actually look at healthcare coverage. Curious. And then I see as I scroll over here, I have all of these additional breakout categories. So I can look at overall healthcare coverage. I can look at it broken down by gender, by age group, by race and ethnicity, education attained and household income. Again, I have my questions here. This is adults with some form of health insurance. So again, scrolling down, I'm seeing this trend chart. Now, I can very quickly and easily switch this to a rank chart. And what that's going to do is going to show me, first of all, it's going to show me all of the states, right? What happens when I switch to a rank is now I'm looking at one particular year, but I'm seeing all of the locations. Okay, so I can I can go back to see Maryland, DC, and Virginia if I wanted to, or I can start to break out some categories. So actually, I'm going to do that. I'm just going to look at Washington, DC now. And I'm going to show you again just how easy it is to make these changes. So every time I select these options, my visualization changes down below. Okay, so every time I make a change, I see something updated in my visualization. So again, this just gives you a really nice way to explore the different options, the different indicators, the data that's available from the source. So again, every time I make these changes, I see this updated visualization down below. I can start to make, I start to have some questions. I start to see, what does this data show me? What might this mean for my research? What questions might this prompt for future, additional research, and so on. So all of these indicators, every time I change them, I'm changing my visualization. But the other thing I'm changing is actually the data that I can export out of the platform. So something that's going to be really important for you all is this table icon. What this gives me is all of the data. Every time I make a selection in my indicator panel, I get that data here. So I can actually export this data outside the platform. If you're looking for data for research, if you're not necessarily needing the visualization, but you're wanting that data, you can always get it from that table icon. You can export it out of Sage data in a variety of formats, and then use that again for your research, for creating your own visualizations or incorporating that into data you've already gathered. So that is the icon there, the table icon that will give you the data, whatever you selected in your indicator panel. So again, as I select additional states up here, what happens is my table icon automatically updates and I get that new data, right? So every time I make a change. You'll also see that down below the visualization, you can always get additional information about the source as well as the data set. So this gives you a lot of great detail about what this data is actually looking at, how it's been gathered, if there are any anomalies or if there's missing data. It will explain all of that here. You get a lot of really great information. You'll also always have access to the data itself. So we always give you the link right back to the data. So if I click this, it's going to take me right to the CDC, right to the data that I'm seeing in SAGE data. I can always explore this further. I can get more information. But again, I think one of the reasons I like to do this is because what this shows you is this data set. If I went to CDC to get this data set, there are 2.76 million rows of data in this data set, which if you are kind of new to exploring data, or if you are looking for one particular part of this data set, that is a significant amount of data to have to explore, to wade through, to figure out how to analyze. What SAGE data does is it makes it really easy to see what's actually available and how you can actually very quickly and easily explore that data and see that data in this platform. So I think one of the biggest benefits of SAGE data is that ability to quickly and easily manipulate, add indicators, change indicators, so on. All right. Are there any questions about this? I do have one additional data set I want to show you, as well as some different chart types. But before I do, are there any questions in the chat that we need to
There are no questions in the chat, but we'll see if anyone has any questions to ask.
Yeah, we'll take just a second. Are there any questions about anything so far?
Feel free to unmute if you want to ask your question.
I have a question for the logging. So I would say, so when I try to log in, should I click the access my institution?
Yeah, so did you click the link from the library's website?
Yes.
Yeah, and is it asking you to sign in?
Yes.
Emily, this could be the same issue that I was having when I was on campus.
Mm-hmm.
So, Adeline, why don't you try to sign in, click the link for SAGE research methods, click that link, and once you do, so click the link that Emily's showing there. Once you do, you come to the universal header. So Emily, go back to...
You come to this.
Yeah, you come to this, and you can get to SAGE data from there. This is how I had to do it, and I'm not sure why, but you should. Let me know if that works.
Okay, yeah, I will try. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Lee. All right. Hopefully no one else is having access issues, but if you are, you can try that as well. I think there's something that sometimes the single sign-on kind of kicks in when you kind of switch between resources. So that might be what's happening. So try clicking on, the research methods at the top of the page and then coming back to SAGE data, or like Lee said, go to the SAGE research methods link from the library database listing. So, all right.
That work?
Yeah, it works.
Yay! Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Lee. I'm glad to hear that. All right, I'm gonna do a search for a term right now. We're gonna see the search results page. So many of you may know what kind of data you're looking for. You'll want to do a search for that data. Coming to the search results page, you'll see when you do a search, you're gonna see the option to use the filters on the left-hand side to narrow your search if you need to, if you have a lot of results. But you're also going to get a lot of information about the results in the search results page. So you can always see here, you can further refine your results. You can see the different databases that the results are coming from. So you can get right to a particular database. You can see the level of detail. So is this international data? Is this state level data? The source provider, as well as related subject areas of terms. So a lot of ways to use the filters to get to very specific data. But as well as you can also explore these, you get all the information about the source and a data set right in the search results page as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go to this one. This is the World Development Indicators database from the World Bank. And I think this is just a great one for a lot of international data. You can get very specific country level data for a really wide variety of in this case, sort of environmental factors. So there's a lot of environmental, trade, international relations type data. So a lot of data here. You'll see all of these different indicators that we can click on and explore. So, oh yeah, this is more of a business and trade data set. There's another one on the environment. So a lot of different things you can explore. Again, I did a search for fuel exports, so that's how we came in. So you can see I'm right now looking at an international level, but quickly and easily switch to country. And again, I can see all of the countries available. Again, I'm in a trend chart. I'm just seeing Afghanistan right now, but with a click of a button, I change to see a rank, and I can see at a glance the countries that in 2019 had the highest percentage of their merchandise exports as fuel exports. So again, I can get this information very quickly and easily. But this is a great example of a data set where looking at the map, for example, gives me a really quick visual of how, of the breakdown of fuel exports in these countries. So I can see at a glance, I can use this legend down here to get a sense. I can also always change the ranges on a map. So I can increase or decrease the number of ranges of colors that I'm seeing. I can change the colors on the map. I can set to grayscale and so on. This also, at a glance, gives me really great information about the countries that are not reporting this information. So instead of having to, search for a country on a rank chart, I can see right away that I don't have some data from some particular countries, which is likely explained in my data set information. So that's a great example of a map chart. You can also see with a pie chart, this is going to be, I'm going to do a couple of countries here. It's going to be a little bit too many. So I noticed Kuwait is at the top of the list. So I'm going to do Kuwait and then a couple of their neighbors. And then switch to a pie chart, and I can see, again, I can see 2 countries for 2019. I can also switch to a trend chart. So again, very quickly and easily, I can get these countries. Actually, sorry. There they are. Okay, so just an example. So again, you're seeing some interesting anomalies, again, some things to explore, some potential interesting data here. So the other thing I wanted to mention, if you ever want to export, you have the table icon here. You can also export in a variety of formats. You can export a PDF. You can get links to this data this way. Citations are available for all of the data here. You'll also see the ability to copy a link to data set down here. So if you want to share this with someone else at your institution, this is a great way to bring them right into the platform. They can see this data set. They have the ability to change the indicators, explore additional data, and so on. And then we also have the ability to create a DOI link. What this will do is it will actually create a link to this data set, but you will actually be able to share that outside of your institution. So if you have, you want to share this with someone that you may be collaborating with at another institution, you can always share this DOI link. It will take them to a page where they can see the visualization, they can see the information about the data set, they can get the data through the table icon and so on. They just don't have access to the platform. They just have access to this one data set. So again, a few different ways to share the data. Are there any questions about the different chart types or how to search or browse for data in Sage Data?
So I do have a quick question.
Yeah.
So I know you ran the Sage Data for for healthcare and things like that. So if you wanted to change it to something along the lines of media, maybe so I'm doing a project on gender and media from the perspective of comedians. Is there a way to run data out of a data set out of here?
Yeah, I mean, so I off the top of my head, I don't know if that's data that's available in the platform. We can certainly do a search for you and provide some additional links following the session. You can always do a search and see what comes up. Well, if I do a search, I will say one of the things I know I have access to some additional modules in here that are not currently part of your trial, that I might return results that you don't actually have access to. So that's definitely something that we can explore and see if there's information here. So see, I did search for media. I'm going to see over 2,000 results. Obviously, a lot to wade through. Right now, I'm seeing library circulation. So that's not exactly what you're looking for. So if Carrie, if you wouldn't mind putting maybe some information in the chat about what type of data you'd be looking for, Paige and Lee and I would be happy to see what might be available and send you some links after this.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And I say for anyone else, if you're looking for something in Sage data and you're either not finding what you're looking for or you're finding a lot of results and are curious, if there might be something more specific, please feel free to share more in the chat about your particular research area, the type of data you might be looking for. And again, we're happy to see, what might be available. We also work very, very closely with the editorial team on Sage data. We go to them a lot with questions about, looking for certain types of data. So we can always pull them in as well. The lead editor of Sage data is actually a librarian. So she loves getting questions from researchers, from faculty and students and librarians. So let us know if there's anything in particular you're looking for, and we can help and see if there's data available.
Hey, Emily, before you continue on, I saw something in the chat from Lei Nguyen, and she was asking about registering an account. I believe, Lei, that this access is for all Howard students, so you don't have to specifically register for an individual account. So just log into the webpage that Emily was showing there, and then you should be access the link, and then you should be good. Thank you.
And then she may be having the same issue where she needs to log into Sage Research Methods, use that link, and once you get into Sage Research Methods, use the universal header to log into Sage Data. And apologies that, the Sage Data link is not working.
Understood, Lee. Thank you so much.
All right, and thank you, Carrie. I saw that you include that in the chat. So we will have a look and see if anything's available and follow up with you directly. Are there any other questions about Sage data before we move over to Sage Research Methods?
And I would be interested, not just a question, is there any feedback you have just in what you've seen about the platform as a means for doing your own research as you're working on your PhDs?
I have a question about access. Do I have to be registered at my institution in order to access this, or can I access this database as a person? Maybe I've taken a semester off. Can I still gain access?
So you will need to have a Howard University email account in order to access that. So if you're going through the Howard University libraries database, it will require you to have that to authenticate. So you will need to have a Howard email address in order to access the databases.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you, Paige. You can write it down. Oh, yes, of course.
Sorry, I went to the website and somehow couldn't find a Sage data link. Could someone maybe post the direct link to the page on the chat window here?
Someone just did, Amber.
I think the link that Paige just shared should work. Yeah, work. All right, well, we are going to go ahead and move over to Sage Research Methods and just spend a little bit of time. For those of you who are following along, you can use this navigation bar along the top of the page to click to get right over to Sage Research Methods. And so for anyone who is not familiar with this resource, or if you haven't seen this resource before, this is a resource for all researchers. So it provides a lot of different types of content to support researchers with the research process. And it provides a lot of information about the different methods that you may be using in your research. So this is a really great resource for those of you who are doing research, who are writing your dissertations or are preparing for that. There's going to be a lot of really great information here to support you. So like I said, some of the content in Sage Research Methods, Howard University Library already owns, but they are currently trialing everything that's available in Sage Research Methods. So just to give you a sense of what is available, what you already own at Howard University, you already own all of the books and reference content. So all of this is going to be available to you in perpetuity. There's over 1,200 titles in this collection on really every aspect of research methods, of qualitative or quantitative, of mixed methods research, of the research process, how to develop a research question, how to design your research, how to do data collection and data analysis, how to write up and disseminate your research. So really great collection of books and reference content. You also have some of our case studies already. You currently have access to all of them, but you do own a collection of them. Case studies are real research projects that have been conducted, and then the researcher actually writes a retrospective case study on the research process. So it's a really great way to learn from researchers who have gone before you, researchers who have engaged in a particular type of research. They talk about the entire process, so how they decided on their research question, what the research method looked like in action, what data collection and analysis looked like, and then they provide practical lessons learned. So things that they learned along the way, things they would recommend other researchers consider if you are engaging in a similar type of research. You also have access to some of the data sets. These are practice data sets that will let you actually practice analyzing different types of data. So both qualitative and quantitative data sets are available. They're a really great way. If you don't have data yet, if you haven't collected your own data, but you want to practice analyzing data in a particular way, maybe you want to practice a type of analyzing survey data or categorical data or some type of qualitative data. This is a great way to practice. You can download the data sets. There are student guides that walk you through it. It's a really great way to practice analyzing data. And then you also have access to some video content. So this is going to be a collection of nearly 500 videos. But again, you have access to everything right now through October 11th. So there are a bunch of video collections. I'm actually going to click into the video landing page and show you. All of those tiles on the homepage will take you to a landing page for that particular content type or collection. And you can see here a lot of different video collections. You already own this one, Sage Research Methods Video, but the rest of these are all available to you to explore, again, through October 11th. So great collections on data science, on data visualization, on doing research online, research ethics and integrity, and then qualitative and mixed methods, as well as some really great video content from our newest collection, which is diversifying and decolonizing research. I actually want to show you, I'm going to just go a little bit further down on the homepage. You can see here, again, all of these collections here you are currently trialing. So these are, again, really great places to explore and provide feedback to Mr. Waters if you are interested in, some of these have content that you really think would be useful for your research, for your program, what you're currently studying. There's a lot of content within these modules. You have video content, you have case studies in here, how-to guides, and then you also have data sets in some of these collections as well. So again, a lot to explore here, but I want to show you a really great way when you're first coming into Sage Research Methods and you're maybe at a particular point in the research process, a really great way to find content to support you in that particular phase. So the methods map is a research tool in Sage Research Methods. You can always find it under this tools dropdown. And what this provides is a visual overview, a visual understanding of how all of the different research methods are connected to one another, as well as an understanding of all of the different phases of the research process. So the way it works when you come into the methods map, you see we have research methods here, and then we see all of these terms that fall under research methods. So the philosophy of research. Why do we do research? Planning research, research design, data collection. So again, we see every stage of the research process here. So we can click into any of these to get more specific. So if we go to, maybe we want to do some quantitative data analysis. When we click on that option, we get a definition of that term, as well as a link to see all content in Sage Research Methods on that particular term. So we could click there to get to a search results page, or we can see, again, all of these terms that fall under quantitative data analysis. So all different types of quantitative data analysis. If we think about SAGE data, a lot of everything we would find in SAGE data would be secondary data, right? It's pre-existing data that we didn't collect ourselves, but that we can use for research, right? So if we want to learn more about using secondary data, maybe we've found data in SAGE data that we want to use in our research. We want to learn more about how to use it, how to incorporate it. We could use this the methods map to get to content that talks to us about secondary data analysis. So clicking that link will take us to a search results page. Again, I'm searching the entire platform. All of this is content currently available to you. So you can get to any of this content right now in SAGE Research Methods. So you see right away, we have some video content about finding data for secondary data analysis. This is actually a whole series of videos on secondary data analysis. But again, we can explore this further. We can filter to a particular content type. So if we're really interested in seeing data sets where we can practice analyzing secondary data, we could do that. We could get to case studies where researchers have used secondary data. So again, a lot we can do with the search results, with the filters. I am going to go ahead and click into one video quickly just to show you, because you already have access to over 500. The library owns nearly 500 videos. You have access to all of them right now. So there's a lot of great video content for you to use, again, for your own research purposes, or if you are teaching or advising students. You'll see every single video has a transcript, which you can search. You can also download a PDF of the transcript. Within the video player itself, you'll see closed captioning that you can turn on. You can increase and decrease the playback rate of the video. And then depending on the video length, this one's just about 5 minutes long. For some of our longer videos, we'll actually provide chapters so you can see all of the different sections of the video and get right into a particular chapter. So again, I think a lot of video content that could be useful to you all, but again, a lot of content across this entire platform that will really help you, again, at any phase of the research process. There's one additional tool I wanted to highlight, and then I do have one last thing I want to share with you before we wrap up and have some time for questions. That additional tool, again, available from this drop-down menu, is the project planner. So again, thinking about the research process, this is a step-by-step guide through that process. This will actually guide you from beginning to end. And what it does is it provides you with each stage of the research process, and then it gives you a lot of information about questions that may come up during that stage and how you would answer those questions or approach that particular stage of the process. So again, maybe we are at the stage of the process where we are collecting data. We can come into the project planner, right into data collection, and you'll see that after the introduction, we have all of these questions. Each of these questions, these boxes expand, and we can get answers to those questions. So how can I generate my own data? We can get more information here about how to do that, how to generate quantitative data, how to do experiments. Anytime you see links, these are going to be to the methods map. So again, back to that tool that gives us a definition as well as a link to see all content. So if we are interested in exploring internet-based surveys more, we can get to that methods map and then get to that content. So again, the project planner is just a really great place to come as you're working through a research project. It can really help guide you, and it can also help you think about things in the process that maybe you haven't considered. So you'll see these checklists included throughout the project planner. These are just really practical lists of questions that you can ask yourself as you're going through the different phases of the research process. So again, practical considerations of using secondary data. So I've gathered some data from SAGE data. Here's questions I should be asking myself about using that data in my research, right? So just really helpful things to think about as you're going through the research process before you get too far into it and have to go back, right? So this can just be a really helpful guide. So there's a lot of information within the project planner, a lot to explore here. All right. Any questions about SAGE research methods? I know that was very, very quick. There is a lot to explore here. I would encourage you to spend some time in here exploring over the next couple of weeks. One thing to note about the search in SAGE research methods is that it does default to a full text search. So if I hit the magnifying glass right now, I'm going to return a lot of results. I'm searching the entire platform wherever this word appears in a piece of content, but the platform does offer suggestions for pieces of content where that word might appear in its title. So here's an example, another one. If I did secondary data, I'm going to see examples of content that I can get into, as well as I should see a suggested keyword as well. So I can then do a keyword search instead of a full text search. So yeah, here we go. But are there any questions about stage research methods?
Emily, there was a question in the chat from Kevin that asked about what happens to our access after the 11th of October. I love that question, Kevin. And I have two thoughts, and Paige indicated that, as Emily has shared with you, you have perpetual access to parts of SAGE research methods. Howard University Library has already made a significant investment. And so that access will not go away after the 11th. So two thoughts. One, your library is evaluating the additional access to the rest of SAGE research methods and to SAGE data, as Paige indicated, and really is seeking feedback from faculty, researchers, students on the value that these two resources bring to your own academic study. So please feel free to share that your feedback directly with Tommy or with Ben, and as they consider how they're going to move forward with any of these additional collections. But secondly, at the very bottom of this page, and if you'll scroll down, Emily, to the bottom of the page, if you as an individual want to request an individual trial after this trial through your library is over, because you want to continue using, you can request a trial for, as an individual, to access any of our collections, and it's a 30-day trial. So just know you as a student have that ability to request an individual trial, but don't do it until after the 11th, since you've got access through the library, but just know you can make that request too.
Thank you, Amy. That's very helpful. I appreciate that. All right, are there any, I do have one last slide to share, but are there any questions about SAGE research methods, about access, about the content, about, how to use it for your own research? Anything that we can answer at this point? Just realized I never went back to my slides, so I apologize. I did have an agenda, but it's okay. The last thing I wanted to show you was this visualization that just shows and kind of talks about how both SAGE research methods and SAGE data can be used together to support the research journey. So these are just some examples of different pieces of content, or sort of collecting data at the subject level in SAGE data. That kind of walk you through the different stages. So, everything from defining the research project, there's a lot of information in SAGE research methods about that, about how to decide on a research topic, how to decide on a research question, all the way through collecting data, handling and processing it, analyzing it. There's a really great case study in SAGE research methods about doing secondary data analysis, interpreting, and then communicating and your findings and your research. So just a kind of a visual, an understanding of, again, how those two resources can really work together to support you along the entire research journey. We have one last, I did make a quick list of content in SAGE research methods. I'm going to just put this in the chat. This is a reading list from SAGE research methods. This is something that you all can access. These are all of the examples that I just showed you on that visualization. So if you're curious, if you want to explore any of those resources that I just put up, this link will take you to a list of those particular resources within SAGE research methods. So again, the things like finding data for secondary data analysis, identifying same gender couples in the American Community Survey. There's additional resources in that list. So just something for you to access if you're interested. But that is everything that I have. We still have a few minutes. Again, I'm happy to stay on and answer questions, or again, Paige, Lee, and I would love to hear any feedback you may have. If you have any to share now, we'd love to hear it. Otherwise, again, please don't hesitate to reach out to Mr. Waters and share your feedback with him. And then Paige also just put a link to a feedback form. If you're interested in providing feedback that way, all of this information goes right back to the library. So that's also really helpful for them as they're considering acquiring additional SAGE research methods content or SAGE data. All of your feedback is really valuable. So.
Emily, do you have a slide with our contact information on it?
I do.
There we go. Thank you.
Yes, please feel free to get in touch with any of us anytime. We are happy to answer questions, offer support. And then if there were any questions in the chat that we will need to follow up on, we will reach out, provide more information to you. And then, yeah, thank you, Paige, for the chat as well.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emily. And thank you, everyone. It's been, fascinating hearing about all of the different programs and kind of phases where you all are in your PhDs. So I just wanted to share really quickly, when I was in my master's program, I used the methods map and SAGE research methods all the time in my methodology classes. So for those that are early on in your programs, if you're getting into, the statistics of it all and trying to figure out how to use those different data softwares, both of these resources are extremely, extremely helpful for that. So we're really just looking forward to hearing what you all think. So thank you so much, for taking the time to be here, and for any feedback that you have for us about these resources, how you're using them. We just look forward to hearing.
Awesome, awesome. Ladies, thank you so much for spending this hour with us this afternoon. Very informative. I really feel that as a graduate student, that we have so many resources that maybe we don't know about that are underutilized. So, at the graduate level, it's so important that you actually have these tools available to you. So thank you so much for your time today. And in this last few moments, just want to let everyone know that next Friday, we have our disability inclusivity workshop. So if you are disabled or know someone who is disabled, we have those resources available for them, and we'll talk about that in depth next Friday at 1 p.m. Thanks so much, everyone, for coming, and we'll see you all next Friday. Take care.
Thanks. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you.